This looks like a classic YongYea capitalism bad. CEOs bad video. It's gonna be great.
Hey, games industry, come close. I just want to talk. I just want to talk here, just a little closer. Come on, it's okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay, for real though, we got to talk about what's going on with the games industry.
Okay.
In the history of gaming, I've never seen a massacre like this, where the layoffs are so consistently substantial that I don't know how this is sustainable. It just feels like there's this big implosion going on, and it is rocking the industry as a whole, and the whole world is taking notice. So just this year alone, recall that after Embracer bought out a bunch of studios and promised that they'd bring back a bunch of major IPs like Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, Legacy of Kain, you name it, they went ahead and engaged in layoffs and studio shutdowns.
Oh yeah, I remember this one. This one was great. So, a group bought a bunch of failing studios that have not produced anything worthwhile in 20 years and were on their last legs. And YongYea got mad because they actually fired a bunch of people and canceled a bunch of projects that looked like they're not going anywhere and gonna be absolute failures. And YongYea was, how dare you? This studio 30 years ago made some kind of game that currently doesn't even have a single fan left. They should be allowed to exist forever and for free. How can you fire these people? God, I love YongYea.
And just butchered major IPs by completely mishandling them. So many projects shut down, so many studios.
What do you mean mishandling them? What does that mean, mishandling them? Those studios were going under. Those studios were underperforming. Those studios were not making any money, any progress, any good games, anything. And then comes a group, buys them, starts firing the useless garbage people, and YongYea is like, that's mishandling. You should have forever paid their salary, even though they're doing nothing.
Studio closures across the board, and after cutting almost 1,400 jobs, they straight up had the audacity to say that they're looking out for shareholders, which is just completely and utterly disgusting.
As they should, by the way. As they 100% should. Someone commented this recently, and they pointed out that, yeah, YongYea has absolutely no idea that the shareholders in this case is the reason these studios can sometimes even actually do things, okay? If you have no one who wants to be a shareholder, guess what? Not 1,400 employees get laid off. Everyone gets laid off.
With more job cuts potentially along the way, they foreshadowed, and I mean, we're talking about so many canceled, unannounced games between July and December as of February 15th, 2024, with more internal studios closed. It is just getting completely out of hand. And of course, executives show no empathy towards a situation like this, saying things like, stuff like this is something that everyone needs to get through.
Good. That's exactly what I would have said. That's exactly what any single person with even a single shred of a brain would actually tell you in this situation. Well, right. Okay, so let me explain this in the most simplest way that even a hardcore YongYea veteran who thinks he's right can understand, okay? If you have a company and it's losing money every single month, that's bad. If it keeps doing that, everyone at some point is going to be fired because that's unsustainable. But if you fire only, I don't know, a couple of people, congratulations. It's sustainable suddenly. I know, that was the probably most difficult logic you have ever heard in your life, but it's real. It's real.
Instead of making it about how leadership needs to get a frickin' grip, get a handle on things, and maybe fire themselves if they're...
Leadership is getting a handle of this. This is called why those layoffs are even happening in the first place. Young, my dude, your dream has come true. The leadership is getting a grip. and firing all those useless garbage people.
They're not up to the task of being responsible and making good business decisions. That doesn't pave the road to this kind of mass layoff situation. And now let's talk about Sony Interactive Entertainment. Its CEO, Jim Ryan, recently announced that he's making cuts to the workforce, about 8% or about 900 people.
Wow.
This is a memo that was sent out to employees. He said the leadership team and I made the incredibly difficult decision to restructure operations, which regrettably includes a reduction in our workforce, impacting very talented individuals who have contributed to our success. After
Let me rephrase that. So we went over a bunch of stuff, numbers, not actual people. This is just, numbers that we pay out in salaries. And turns out none of you are useful at all. Everyone who's getting let off is absolute garbage. You are talentless. You are stupid. Have a nice day. Leave as soon as possible. We didn't like you to begin with. This was the easiest decision of my life.
After careful consideration and many leadership discussions over several months, it has become clear that changes need to be made to continue to grow the business and develop the company. We had to step back, look at our business holistically, and move forward, focusing on the long-term sustainability of the company and delivering the best experiences possible for our community. Whoa, don't throw the community in there, all right? This is strictly a business decision.
Hey, as a part of the community, I would like to say to leadership, thank you for removing all the useless garbage who badly impact the games, badly impact decision making, and badly do their job. Thank you, leadership. As a part of the community, I would like to say thank you.
The goal is to streamline our resources to ensure our continued success and ability to deliver experiences gamers and creators have come to expect from us. No. This is not about the gamers and the creators and doing it for us. This is about doing it for the corporation. It is about finances, and it's about the shareholders. That's all this ultimately is. Don't you dare.
At least he understood something.
Put this on us. What this means, the statement continues, we envision reducing our headcount by about 900 people, or about 8% of our current workforce. There will be impact for employees across all SIE regions, Americas, EMEA, Japan, and APAC.
Also, if anyone's wondering how these decisions are made so easily, because they are made so easily, yeah, there's this crazy thing called KPIs, work evaluations, and so on. And, as someone who always did perfectly on those, and who has seen a lot of restructuring, a lot of letting goes and whatnot, you know what's funny? You know what's cool? Is the fact that I never, for some reason, was even remotely afraid that they're gonna fire me. And if you watch my second channel, you have probably heard a couple of stories that I have said about work, where literally the board of directors is pissed at me as a singular person that they don't actually know even, because of the shit that I did. And guess who didn't get fired? Me. Why? Because I put myself in a position where it's hard to fire me, okay? Do you want to guess how many of these 800 people actually had good evaluation and work score? Probably 0. Do you want to guess how many of them did anything useful? Probably also 0.
Several PlayStation studios are affected. Certain studios like PlayStation Studios London Studio will close entirely, and there'll be reductions in certain studios like Firespit Studio and reductions in various functions across SIE in the UK. And there are more specifics that have been reported by investigative journalists like Jason Schreier, who pointed out that layoffs have even hit Insomniac, the developers of Spider-Man, Naughty Dog, the developers of Last of Us, and Gorilla, the developer...
Is Insomniac the one that made Spider-Man 2? Yeah, it makes sense, because Spider-Man 2 is probably not recuperating the amount that was put into it. It's barely breaking even, as much as I understand. So yeah, obviously, this is gonna happen.
Developers of Horizon, who are 3...
Yeah, I hope the people... Wait. Horizon Zero Dawn... let me see if I can find some pictures, okay? Okay, I found it. What wasn't even remotely hard to find it, okay? Are we talking about the same people who made this Horizon? You know, just asking a question. You know, I'm just asking questions. Are we talking about the same people that made this absolute travesty against humanity? Because I hope we are. Because whoever designed this needs to be let go at an extremely fast pace.
Of PlayStation's most successful subsidiaries. That's the crazy part. Even when development studios are thriving and succeeding and outputting critically acclaimed games that go on to sell really well, even then, there's a risk that it'll be for naught because you might get laid off anyway, despite the fact that you did a stellar job creating your games. None of these studios experienced like a financial flop or anything that necessitated layoffs or whatever. We're talking about thriving studios that still are.
Yeah, I'm sure that's 100% accurate. Oh, none of these layoffs are even needed. Oh, this is just happening throughout a lot of industries at random. Dude, please.
At risk of seeing employees getting laid off and being served as scapegoats for poor executive corporate decisions. Along the way, Sony Interactive Entertainment also canceled a number of projects, namely, as reported by Jason Schreier, a Twisted Metal live service game that was in development at UK-based studio Firesprite. Jason Schreier also reports in his Bloomberg article that he's heard that for Guerrilla Games specifically, about 10% of its staff is being cut, so that's roughly 40 employees. Now, Guerrilla's head, Herman Hulst, was at one point promoted to head of PlayStation, and he had this to say about the cancellation of several games in development. He said, sometimes great ideas don't become great games. Sometimes a project is started with the best intentions before shifts within the market or industry result in a change of plan. Which on some level is true, but this whole notion that certain projects were started with the best of intentions, like Sony's whole plan of just going all in with live services, which is why they bought Bungie and kickstarted this movement to create a bunch of live services that they've now had to scale back on because they...
Sony didn't buy Bungie. They made a deal with them. If Bungie fails to get on a certain percent of revenue, or whatever the deal was. Essentially, if Bungie does underdelivers in a certain amount, then Sony takes over. Can't wait for that because Bungie is a bunch of clueless hacks.
They realize that the live service market is just so oversaturated.
And by the way, that's already happening. By the way, if you missed the Destiny 2 video from 2 days ago, I think it was, or something like that. Everything I predicted is literally on point. Yeah, and they're completely over. Yeah, it's over for Destiny. That game is as dead can be.
And are realizing that live services are failing left and right as they launched recently Skull and Bones and a Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Like, I feel like the writing was on the wall for that one a while ago. It felt like a dumb idea when Sony announced it. A lot of people predicted that this kind of could very well happen, where it just felt like there were too many live services in development by one publisher. I feel like the intention...
That's a stupid point. It doesn't matter if a game is a live service or not. Literally, no one cares. Look at Helldivers. Helldivers is a live service game. Awesome. No one cares. A game, as long as a game's good, who cares if it's a live service game? I literally could not care less. Make it a double live service game. As long as the game's good, I'm fine, boy. Okay?
Wasn't to deliver the best experiences or whatever, it was to output money-milking machines, and the end result was they had to scale back because now they're realizing it's a dumb idea, and a lot of people realized it was a dumb idea way before Sony realized it. There was a lot of stupidity that kind of went behind why we're now in this situation where Sony's had to make significant shifts in what was supposed to be putting so many eggs in the live service basket, and now they're starting to slowly put some of those eggs out. And part of that involves the cancellation of projects like this live service Twisted Metal game, which, I don't know, I'm not all for this idea of a live service version of this racing franchise. The folks at Insomniac were none too pleased about this whole situation and kind of spoke out. This statement right here doesn't feel like a corporate statement. It felt like somebody genuinely put their heart into us and, are genuinely pained by
ChatGPT, please.
the situation. We're not expecting it. Here's what Insomniac's statement reads like in response to the layoffs. Like several other teams across Sony Interactive Entertainment and PlayStation Studios, Insomniac Games was impacted by yesterday's layoffs. There are no sufficient words to express our feelings about it. This is a solemn and unprecedented moment for our studio, which suggests that this surprised Insomniac.
Bro, this was Bro, the guy who wrote this probably was fired also.
And this was not up to them. This was up to the corporate heads at Sony. We're focusing our energy on helping everyone affected through this challenging time. For those who are hiring, these are great people. They're great people seeking new roles.
I'm sure they're great people that just randomly got laid off for no reason. Man, I'm so sure they're great people who got laid off for literally being the best developer ever. I'm sure they were absolutely the top of the notch at their job. I'm sure they weren't the equivalent of a dumpster fire, okay? Yeah, I'm sure that was the case. I'm sure all of the good ones and smart ones got fired. And all of the bad ones obviously stayed.
Who made important contributions to Insomniac's history. We're extremely grateful for them, and they will be missed. So this obviously all just really sucks. And let me highlight just how successful Spider-Man 2 was. It was the fastest selling PlayStation Studios game. The game sold over 2...
Doesn't matter. It did not get the money. I'm pretty sure Spider-Man 2 is still working on a loss. Now it's gonna make a profit at some point, but they underperformed. They have underperformed. We know
2.5 million copies in the first 24 hours following its release, and then beyond that, it's
also having a Spider-Man game where you're playing as a deaf girl for no reason is also not really great. So maybe the person who decided, obviously people in my Spider-Man game would love to play as a deaf girl that sprays graffiti or something like that. Yeah, that's what the gamers want. I hope that person got fired.
total sales now as of February 14th, 2024 has gone beyond 10 million copies. This game's made a boatload of money, and yet despite all that, that was not enough to stave off layoffs at this prolific studio. Was a whopping $300 million. So in terms of like profit margins, like that is a lot of money to spend on a game that requires a lot of revenue to make its money back.
Yeah, but it's still under expectation.
Found out about Marvel Spider-Man 2's budget through the unfortunate Insomniac data breach, hack, and leak that occurred not that long ago. And another bit of information that we learned from that was that the return on investment for Spider-Man 2, despite how well it sold, was significantly lower than that of, say, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. So Spider-Man 2 cost an incredible $315 million to develop with an expected return on investment of 35%. Its predecessor, the lighter on its feet Spider-Man Miles Morales, had a reported return on investment of 120.
Yes, and everything here sadly makes perfect sense if you're not an absolute mouth breather. Okay? Miles Morales costed almost the equivalent of nothing for its 122% return on investment. Spider-Man 2, as sad as it is, has underdelivered in sales.
2%. It just took a lot more manpower and resources
okay, let me explain it a little bit more complicated than that, because I don't like saying such a simple answer to not actually that simple situation, okay? This is the basic breakdown of what's happening with Spider-Man 2. Has it actually made money? Yes, probably. I don't know at this point. Previously it didn't, but maybe at this point, probably. At some point it was guaranteed to make money. But the thing is, for the investment and time that it took to actually make it, this is not a reasonable amount of money spent. All of the new things, all of the improvements did not amount actually to, any kind of return on a significant enough level. So that's why they're cutting down on it, because investing so much into a game like Spider-Man 2 and getting so little returns is not worth it. It could be used in different ways. That's the real thing that's happening here.
And money to make Spider-Man 2, and so despite its great sales, the return on investment was just a tougher ask for this particular project because AAA game budgets are just getting so out of hand. But beyond the fact that...
Yes, and how do you make them smaller? Fire the developers. Wow! It's almost like everything makes sense here, and YongYea is just a completely uninformed adult who's talking about company bad, communism good. Oh man, someone should just give him a China flag already.
That AAA games are just getting bloated in their cost and budget. There's also the fact that they're taking longer and longer to make. And with every passing year that a game is in development, that's more money spent. It's more time spent with the game not making a return on investment, as Polygon aptly put it here.
Yeah, he's kind of, you know what's funny? He's actually saying points that actually matter to all of these layoffs and whatnot, but he kind of just doesn't understand that those things, like, you know, are put together like Legos and they form a thing.
It's now taking roughly 5 years at minimum to make these large-scale AAA games, but increasingly much longer as well, like how Rocksteady Studios saw a 9-year gap between the release of Batman Arkham Knight and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. The producer of Final Fantasy VII Remake recently estimated that it'd take 20 years to remake Final Fantasy VI to a similar standard. Naughty Dog has not released an original game for PlayStation 5.
Well, Naughty Dog is absolutely as washed up, okay?
It's been years since an original project from them came out, since Last of Us Part 2. And this is a situation that feels like it's just getting dangerously untenable. Speaking of dangerous, there are always prying digital eyes or hackers.
By the way, oh, this is an ad. Yeah, that's an ad. Anyway, speaking about...
Pretty good offer and safety net, if you ask me. Now, it's not...
Speaking about Naughty Dog, do you think we're gonna get a Last of Us Part 3 She-Hulk, The Returnage? I really hope. That would be hilarious. Anyway, I don't feel like watching anything else here. I mean, we made fun of YongYea for, again, not understanding how basic things work at all. So, I'm kind of satisfied with that. Anyway, that was our boy. Why is he inputting a last minute of complete darkness? This is like the second video we see it here. Anyway, boys.
You guys next time.
See you guys.
YongYea.
Yeah. Oh, out. It is what it is, boys. Anyway, this was Quizzer Said 7. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.